Hey everyone, welcome to Jackal's Wrestling Entertainment Pod. As always, Caleb.
Jeremiah.
Um, Big week. We had a lot of still Hulk Hogan tributes, and we also had night one of WWE SummerSlam. We have a lot to talk about when we get to night one.
That was huge.
Let's jump right in with Monday Night Raw. As mentioned, they start off with a different Hulk Hogan tribute. We got the 10-bell salute. We got a Hulk Hogan music video. But our first segment was Paul Heyman getting interrupted by Jey Uso. And this was a theme for the night. What'd you make of this promo and just how it's set up? What would be to come later on in the night?
I know you're right. It's most definitely an ongoing theme. We saw, Paul pretty much warning, trying to scare Jey Uso and stuff, as Jey prepared to go against Bronson Reed. And that's really laid the groundwork, not just for the night, but for one of the marquee matches of SummerSlam that we will talk about later.
Next, we had an interesting match. We had AJ Styles and the Kabuki Warriors against Dorothy, Dominic Mysterio, and Jacal and Roxanne Perez, our women's tag team champions.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is fun. Really cool. I mean, we know the Judgment Day is a unit, but you think, like, AJ Styles has such a rich history in wrestling, but part of that rich history in wrestling is very, known tenure in New Japan. So it was really cool the fact that to see him team up with the Kabuki Warriors, because you think they were probably starting off over in there about the same time Styles was in the Bullet Club.
Yeah?
So they're probably friends, and we've just never really got to see them on TV interact with each other.
But yeah, very interesting, very good match too. Up next, we saw Sheamus and Grayson Waller. We would see Rusev try to distract Sheamus. Sheamus would still pick up the win, but Rusev would deliver the beatdown. So I'm asking about the match, but I'm also asking you, why do you think there wasn't some type of match made for Sheamus Rusev at SummerSlam?
I don't know, that's a good question. I mean, we were talking about that last week, that we'd hoping, you get your World matches, hoping to be at SummerSlam. But I mean, I think like for cards so big, even with it being 2 nights, both nights are so stacked. So I'm hoping that maybe we get that match at the Clash at Paris, maybe a stipulation, like you said, like a last man standing or something to that extent, because they really do deserve this Wobble match. I believe should be a PLE in my opinion.
I do too. I think they delivered not once but twice on Monday Night Raw, and for not getting a lot of hype for either one, I think they actually over delivered and really gave pay-per-view quality matches.
Agreed, 100%.
Up next, we had Valkyria and Becky. Valkyria said she had her Becky stomping shoes on and that she was going to stomp Becky at SummerSlam. Becky tried to get the sneak attack, and then that would lead to Lyra beating Becky Lynch with a kendo stick.
Yeah, we found out that'd be a no disqualification, no holds barred match, which is huge. But in that, it's also Lyra Valkyria must win, and that match is tonight, or she will not get another shot at that championship as long as Becky Lynch holds it.
It's going to be very interesting. Up next, we had a 8-woman tag team match. We had Naomi and Chelsea Green with her Secret Harvest against Stephanie Valcour and Nikki Bella, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley. This was an amazing matchup.
As it was. I mean, you talk about just an all-star 8-woman tag, the talent there. And then, I mean, you have a Hall of Fame with Nikki Bella with, rising stars of, well, let's face it, Io and Rhea's established stars currently in the division, and Stephanie's on the rise. And then, Naomi's world champion, Chelsea's always good, does her thing. And then also, you can't knock on Alba or Piper, they're always consistent performers. So, yeah, that was a really fun one. And a huge win for the faces.
Yep. Up next, we had LWO getting a big opportunity. They were challenging for the WWE Tag Team Championship against the Judgment Day. They got this close, but interferences from, looks like 2 different El Grande Americanos. Like, what's going on here?
I don't know. That is a big big mystery, and a lot of people are saying, Pete Dunne, but like you said, the size that really looked like Pete Dunne. And I want to point out, too, he had a jumpsuit on. He had sleeves. So, I was thinking, could this have been Tyler Bate? Looked a little bit more like his build, and he has all the tattoos.
Maybe.
So if it was to, cover up tattoos, I don't know. I mean, we know, you have Will Elcano was out there with that Dragon Lee was messing with. We don't know who this utter imposter of Elcano is.
It's interesting to see where this goes, most definitely. It looks like there's a lot of El Grande Americano, so to speak.
Yeah, that's getting a little weird.
Up next, we had a huge gump for CM Punk promo, and everybody said CM Punk got the best of this promo after Gunther won the previous promo battle. Everyone said this was Punk's turn.
I mean, most definitely, Punk, is one of the best promos to ever do it. It was explaining that he doesn't, want it. It's not that he wants it. It's just not to say he needs it. He needs it more than Gunther needs it. He needs it more than anyone else needs it. And, Gunther's trying to talk, and, Punk said himself, shut up. This is my moment now. This is, I'm talking. Kind of big boyed him. But yeah, no, great. And again, we'll talk about that later. But great promo set up for an awesome main event.
Next, we had Jey Uso against Bronson Reed. But this match was interrupted by Braun Breaker. And then we would see Roman Reigns come to make the save. But the night was Bronson and Bronze.
Yeah, most definitely. We just saw they thought they had the upper hand for a second. Just one false move. One they did see Braun coming, Roman did. And the momentum went downhill from there. Braun and Bronson completely, like you said, took over. Just destroyed Roman, and Jay sent a message. Bronson stole Roman's shoes just to prove a point of dominance. And Heyman's guys made an impact to end Monday Night Raw.
Yep. NXT kicks off with, we had a 10-bell salute for Hulk Hogan. They showed the same video from Monday Night Raw, which we like. We like that. There was a continued thread of paying tribute to one of the best. We talked about that last week. But our opening match was Jada Parker getting a win over Jasmine Nix, and everyone thinks this means it's Miss Parker's time to challenge for the NXT Women's Championship.
Yeah, I mean, we most definitely have to go for what happened later on in the night, and I believe so, but I just have a question here, though. Even if you're on NXT, are you challenging for just the NXT Women's Championship, or are you going for the Knockouts Championship too? Do you get a shot at both, or, is she going to be defending the NXT Women's Championship on, say, Heat Wave, and then TNA's next event, next pay-per-view, she's going to be going over there defending that Knockouts Championship? Because, as you know, Trick's the TNA champion, but he just has that one belt. JC Jane has 2 championships.
Interesting. I don't know. But it's also interesting, when will we see, speaking of Trick having that belt, and we'll get into that in a minute, but we haven't seen any TNA knockouts come in to NXT and want to challenge JC Jane. When do you think that changes?
I'm going to say soon, especially the more that right now, like we're talking about, a little later on in NXT, but like you said right now, it looks like Jada's most definitely has to be the number contender at this point for Heat Wave. It makes the most sense. And I believe, much like Trick, we are going to see some knockouts from TNA make their way to NXT, like a Joe Hendry or Mike Santana.
That'll be interesting.
That'll be very interesting.
Up next, speaking of Trick Williams, we had Javon Evans calling out for Big Dog. He was talking about Obafemi. What he got was Trick Williams, which said he's the big dog because he's won the NXT championship and he's the TNA world champion. And he also said that Javon Evans has to get in line, that he wants Obafemi. Eventually we would see Wesley, but huge spot for, I think, Javon and Trick. And we're seeing those 3 guys, again, all vying for the NXT championship.
Yeah, that's true. Much like standing the level, and, we were just talking about JC. That's what Trick referenced to. He said JC's not going to be the only one going around here with two world championships. And so, apparently she inspired Trick now. He wants to do what she's doing. In his words, he's already the face of TNA, and he wants to be the face of NXT again. And it's just odd. Trick's on the wall. Oba's on the wall, and Javon is your wild card in this thing. But like we've talked about last week, I'm just really becoming more and more of a Javon Evans fan, and just this character development, this growth we've seen. Like we talked about last week, he's just kind of like that Buddy backstage, and now he's the Undertaker talked to him, kind of gave him an endorsement. Now he's running with it, and he's trying to get, like you said, the big dog. He got Trick, which led to Wesley, which I guess we'll talk about later.
Up next, we had Tavion Heights defeat Charles Dempsey, and from the step Bubba Ray made, he is now out of the No Quarter Catch crew.
Yeah, which I'm assuming is over now. I mean, maybe Winston Clare, will manage Dempsey, vice versa. But unless he recruits, I don't think there's any more of a faction tag team. And we're interested to see what Tavion Heights does. Miles Bourne has been, in a rivalry with Lexus King. So we've seen him, establish himself going singles. So it'll be very interesting to see what's next for Tavion.
Yep. Up next, we had Blake Monroe promo. She was talking about what she did to Jordan Grace, but she also said she wants the NXT Women's Championship and she wants to be next. Lola Vice would come out. Jada Parker would come out and say she already called next. She even beat Jasmine next. And then Kalani Jordan would play Jordan Grace's music, but then end up showing up saying that she scared Blake Monroe. But I mean, I thought it was a great promo from all four women. It broke down into a brawl, a little bit of one. I think we may see a tag team match, but out of these four women, who's next? Who do you think is challenging JC Jane? All of them have their eyes on JC Jane and the NXT Women's Championship. You would think Blake Monroe would have some business with Grace to take care of. So who do you think's next?
That's a great question. See, because back when Stephanie was champion, she promised Lola next after JC Jane, which, as we know, that never happened.
Yeah.
So she has owned it, but JC Jane never made no such promise, never put that on the line, so she does have a legit argument. I believe that Kalani will take on Blake Monroe this upcoming week on NXT, which is huge. I mean, for Blake, we've seen a tag team match. We saw, she beat Winston Clare. Not knocking Winston Clare. She's up and coming competitor, but she's not the caliber of competitor that Kalani Jordan is. So I believe this will be Blake's biggest one-on-one test in NXT so far, because Kalani's a former inaugural NXT North American champion. So if Blake wins that, most definitely undefeated. It's hard to argue, but you can't argue with Kalani either based on her her career resume, like I said, about the Women's North American Championship. But like I said, right now I have to say Jada. She called next. She won her match. When we get to the Lash Legend match,
which we'll get to that right now. Lash Legend was taking on Fallon Henley. Match was kind of interrupted somewhat by Nia. The match still finished with Fallon picking up the win. After the match, Nia just destroyed Lash Legend, and it'll lead to a one-on-one match next week on NXT.
Yeah, so right now, Lash is out of title picture at the moment, dealing with a very huge obstacle in her way. And Fallon, got that win, which is a big win for Fallon too, because Lash is on the rise. But yeah, that's why I have to say with that situation last week, in my opinion, I have to say Jada Parker right now should be the number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship. They both called next, her and Lash, but Jada won her match. Not Lash's fault she lost, but she still lost.
Yep. Up next, we had Wesley and Javon Evans. I thought this was the show stealer of NXT. I thought it was an amazing match, and I thought he established what you were saying about the character of Javon Evans. It shows that this man don't quit. He got jumped early on in the night by 4 men, still competed in this match, was beaten down in this match by Wesley, didn't give up, and still walked away victorious.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got to hand it to Giovanni. I have respect for resilience. I'm with you. That was just an awesome match. Great back and forth between the two. Wesley, at times, looked like he was going to have it, but rope breaks and just near falls for Wesley before Giovanni eventually put away. Huge win, and it really, I think, helps stake his case. But to that argument, though, Trick Williams he's TNA champion, but still he's been on a heck of a one. So it's hard to argue that if he wants a shot at Oba, how can you say no based on what Trick Williams has done? So I mean, we might be getting a standing deliver rematch at Heatwave.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting. Up next for the main event of NXT, we had Santino, TNA Santino Marella, challenge Ethan Page for the NXT North American Championship.
Now, this was just awesome. I mean, this was fun. I mean, Santino, they said, hadn't wrestled in a WWE ring since June of 2014. So to see him on NXT, Santino's just great being Santino. Backstage, saying he's going to take the title away, saying he is not the director of operations tonight, he is a competitor. Going against Ethan Page. Man, it was an awesome match, fun main event, great as a longtime fan. Awesome to see Santino back in the WWE wing. He can still go.
Yeah,
he most definitely can still go. And Ethan Page is just, I don't know. I think right now he might be on a bigger road than he was as NXT champion, as North American champion.
He look unstoppable.
He does. He's just on the roll right now, but he messed around too many times. He won the match, but took that Cobra to end.
He did.
And what do you think's going on with Tony D'Angelo as NXT went off there?
I don't know. It seems like there's a kind of like a boss. He was like the boss, but it seems like there's a boss. That main guy over him. I think maybe that man walked back in to the family, as Tony D would say, and could be Tony D maybe has straightened up, or he's kicking Tony D out because Tony D let the family fall apart.
Yeah, that's true. It's going to be very interesting to see where that goes.
I do want to say this before I forget, before we get to the last half of the show, because we have 2 shows left. I want to say, you guys watch, and we need you guys to vote on the poll that's up on this channel to tell us if you want us to do more of the drafts that we did last week for the Hulk Hogan tribute section of the show. So get out there and vote, and throw in some, if you vote and you like the draft, throw in some ideas for us to draft on topics, and we will do right by you guys by studying our topic before we do the show, and we will give you guys the best of what we think is out there.
Exactly.
Kicking off SmackDown. This is the question I have to ask you, because this is what everyone's talking about, and there's even been polls on this that people's putting up, including like WWE, not WWE, but WWE sites and branches of them putting up polls. We got the Cody Rhodes John Cena promo. John Cena pretty much torn face again. The question is this real, or is this a swerve trying to throw Cody off guard? We know it's a street fight. Anything goes. I personally do not see a street fight being between 2 baby faces.
Yeah, no, that was a very strange concept, but I mean, that's right. This is such an odd question. I mean, a hard question, because, I mean, we're talking about SummerSlam, but what we saw last night, you really have questioned legitimacy of anything.
You do.
And see, this was way different than when they tried to do with CM Punk, which just seemed more genuine, more real. It seemed like for John Cena, for John Cena, everyone loves. Babyface John Cena, he took to social media afterwards, put up a picture of a baby, just symbolic for that. But it's just extremely tough, and there's so many, I mean, is John Cena, did Cody, awaken something in him? Because even if you look back to that contract signing, the way John Cena was, it was exactly the heel John Cena we had been seeing before Cody, attacked him and made him sign the contract. But I don't know. Or does it completely go the opposite of anyone's thinking? Does Cody torn? And is John Cena, did he indirectly or directly take a shot at The Rock, at Travis Scott, saying everyone he was with belt on him? But again, I still think that might be more towards The Rock, just because The Rock never showed up at WrestleMania. The Rock told him sell his soul, but Rock hadn't been there since.
So final question, is Cena a face or is this a swerve?
Right now, I am going to have to go swerve unless we find out otherwise tonight. What's your opinion?
I think it's a swerve. I think John Cena's trying to throw Cody off his game, get him let his guard down. I just don't see how the match would build towards a face in a hell, and then literally 2 nights before the show it would be babyface when it's also already a street fight. But who knows? I mean, like you said, you question anything after, and we'll get to it after SummerSlam's finish. Up next, another amazing match. Rematch for the Women's U.S. Championship, Julia Zelina Vega.
Yeah, I mean, completely just tore the house down. It was a great match. And it's so awesome because, you have these pay-per-views coming up, but you've really seen, especially on SmackDowns, like this last year and a half, that the SmackDowns before these big events, you get matches that could be on those cards.
Yeah.
And this was one of them. They tore the house down, and Julia ended up picking up winning and retaining the title after a war and a heck of a match with Zelina Vega.
Up next, we had the AAA Tag Team Championship Open Challenge, which was Los Garza. It would get answered by Mr. Iguana and Psycho Clown. So we know they retained them. Los Garza did. But question I have for you is, we saw this with what was it? The guy who voiced Dom.
Oh yeah, Elo Star. Right? Was that him?
No, I think it was Pentagon or something.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm not trying to butcher these names or anything, but yeah, we saw that he got that. Like you said, he got that shot on the pay-per-view.
Yeah. So the question I have for you is, they're saying like it's a showcase, but so I know, is it a showcase when it's not the back and forth match you may expect from a showcase? Are we showcasing AAA talent when it seems like Dom or Los Garza is kind of dominating, and there's like maybe 20% offense the other way, and then the Garza or Dom would win? Are we still showcasing talent, or what do you think this is?
I think it's given a chance, so to speak. Not saying that they're not talented in any way, but I think it's a little bit like showing, what they can do in that time, but still they're taking on hills. Like you said, so far they've got some stuff in. They've lost one. It's just kind of see what we have here, kind of see how prove them, see how the crowd goes for them in the States, for those not familiar with them. But overall, I think eventually you're going to see them get signed and possibly have a bigger role in possibly NXT, maybe forced and come up to the main roster, because you've heard the rumors that Mr. Iguana and Psycho Clown have been signed past just AAA, so we'll have to see if that's true.
Okay, I like that. Up next, we had Damian Priest, Aleister Black, one heck of a match. Damian would pick up the win via disqualification, but Aleister would leave him feeling not even close to a winner.
Yeah, this is far from over. This should be something. I would not be surprised if we did possibly see it like a Clash at Paris show as well. Like, again, these two could have been on SummerSlam as well, just for star power here. But no, it is far from over. Aleister, like you said, he picked up the win by disqualification. Aleister did not care about winning. He wanted to make a point. He wanted to make an example of Damian Priest, and he did on Friday night. But Priest is not going to let that go, or is he going to forget? He will be after Aleister to make a point of his own. So this one is far from over, and I can't wait to see how far this goes.
Next, we had Tala Tonga's main show debut. He had a match that was on main event, but a lot of people didn't see that. This was his televised main show debut, where he defeated Jimmy Uso. After the match for MFT's would be trying to get the upper hand and attack Jimmy Uso, but Jacob Fatu would come down with a cage lowered, and he would send a statement to Solo Sikoa.
Yeah, most definitely. Solo and Tala hightailed it, but Tonga Loa and JC Mateo paid that price.
By one man.
Yeah, by one man.
That's
that
scary.
man is a wrecking machine. That man is a beast. And Solo will be locked in that cage tonight. He better hope that his buddies can help
Find
him.
a way to get inside and help him.
Because that is a mad Simone Werewolf right now. But very impressed by Tala Tonga, like you said, main event, but not really familiar with him. Really, myself, seeing that first show from him, very good. Huge win over Big Jim. And I think that will Big Jim try to help out Solo tonight to get somewhat even the odds.
You mean Jacob?
I'm sorry, Jacob.
Probably if you just called it. What if Big
Yeah,
Jim does come
yeah.
up Solo? Who knows?
That could be.
Up next, we had a all-out brawl between Randy Orton, Jelly Roll against Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. And even with a celebrity here, we saw Drew and Logan attack him early on in the night, but he still showed up, came back with Randy Orton, and we had this all-out brawl. What a way to build anticipation for the celebrity match on SummerSlam.
Yeah, exactly. And we've said it week after week, but especially with this, and especially as we get to SummerSlam, Jelly Roll, just hats off to him. Huge sign of respect. This man has put in work. He has been like Bad Bunny. Is what he's done, selling, training, everything he can do. This does not seem phoned in. This does not seem like, I'm just going to collect a paycheck, do a few moves, look cool. No, this man has put in the work to really make this awesome and make it special. And once we talk about SummerSlam, we talk about more, but huge hats off to Jelly Roll and everyone involved in this angle has been really fun, and I've enjoyed it myself.
Same, I agree with you. Next, like we said, we have a lot to talk about for SummerSlam, and here we are. We're finally here. I just want to say SummerSlam had some amazing matches, and I know you agree with that. But we kicked it off with one of the best matches on SummerSlam, and that was Roman Reigns and Jey Uso against Braun and Bronson, and we'll talk about it after the second match, but just let you give your opinion on this. This was one heck of a match.
Yeah, we've said it before for comparisons to WrestleMania with 2 nights for SummerSlam, but this did feel like a WrestleMania fan of what they've done with SummerSlam now, which, just as a fan, is just awesome. Sign me up anytime for another WrestleMania-like event. This pay-per-view kicked off with a match that could main event any pay-per-view.
Yeah.
This match was explosive. You just got the big-time feel from Jay, coming down like he does, Roman, and then the, joint entrance for Bronson and Breaker, and just explosive. The spots, the barricades, the tables, the spears from everyone except Bronson Reed.
Exactly.
In this match. Bronson Reed, just being the beast, the monster he is. Now you just really see the build and just how, which is great, he's made to look like that monster. And man, it was just huge, very explosive, and eventually Roman setting up his cousin for a huge pin and huge win to really give SummerSlam an awesome kickoff and let you know just what kind of night it was going to be.
That's a good point. Up next, we saw new women's tag team champions. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair defeated Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. But what I was going to say before we get your opinion on this match as well was, me and you talked about this a little bit during SummerSlam when we were watching it. Just because you're going to go out and lose a match, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, Raquel, Roxanne, doesn't mean throughout the match you do not look amazing, because with the way both of those opening tag team matches were designed, like the 4 losers, not winners of the matches, looked almost as good as the winners, besides not picking up the victory. Just all the spots they got to do, as you mentioned, all the big moves, the finishes, for would have had it won if it wasn't for pins being broke at the right time. Just amazing for all 4 competitors in both of the opening matches.
Yeah, exactly. And then again, another thing too, you have, hand to him is, everyone talks about how, people's attention spans are nowadays and how fans are. And you open up with two great tag team matches back to back, and not any of them were similar. Both of them were very great, fast paced in their own way.
Yeah.
And like you said, it was like you kept both matches. You did not know who was going to win throughout that match because it was so back and forth. Like you said, everyone looked so good. A few times, especially in this one, I thought Jacal and Roxanne were going to retain.
Yeah.
Especially after the miscommunication, the hit from Bliss to Charlotte. But yeah, I mean, this storyline, like they've said, with Charlotte and Bliss has gone further than he ever was supposed to go. It's changed up from what they're supposed to be, and I think it's been great. Jacal has done awesome. Roxanne stepped into Liv's spot really good, and they've made it work. So, awesome match, but I don't think it's over yet between these four women. I'm pretty sure Judgment Day's going to want their titles back.
Yep. And I just want to say this before we move on to the next match. I don't know what exactly happened, but from a while from the Rumble, WrestleMania, we saw Charlotte and she was looking decent. Like, okay, but something happened and some switch was flipped. This is the Charlotte of old, the nearly unbeatable Charlotte Flair. She's just looked amazing as of late.
Yeah, exactly. And the crowd's been behind her like crazy, too.
Yep. Up next, very interesting match, and I really want your opinion on this one. Sami Zayn, Karrion Kross. First off, what'd you think of the pipe? Sami throwing the pipe away when Scarlett tried to give it to him for him to use. Second off, is this the last we see of Karrion Kross?
I just, like you said, awesome match. Scarlett, which was probably at Kross's own idea, trying to set her husband up to get hit with a pipe, but Sami would not.
Really was.
Exactly, Sami showed. At one time, Sami was that guy. Sami would have hit with a pipe, but Sami has not been that competitive for years now. He has changed ever since the Bloodline stuff. And I don't know. I mean, right now, and I hope not. I really hope that there is a contract extension where you see more, but I hope I'm wrong, but at least to me, that felt like, yes, this is the end for Kross and WWE. It just, I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I hope there is a new contract signed, but this just seemed like a farewell.
Wow, okay. Up next, I don't want to say this match underperformed, but just want to say, to me, it did seem like the excitement for this match went exactly as the match ended up turning out to be. There was a couple mess-up spots between Tiffany and Jade Cargill, and it could just be me, but I just thought it was the perfect time to give Jade Cargill the belt. I thought she had all the momentum in the world, and I was a little surprised Stratton kept it. But what's your opinion on this match?
Yeah, no, it's and I don't know, and it's not knock on hate to one of them, but it seemed like this was just kind of rushed. I mean, this match, it seemed like it was as long as it should have been. Well, finish.
And did some of the spots seem like they tried to get to it too fast, and the finish came like really, really quick, kind of out of the blue?
Yeah, exactly. And no, I mean, I'm with you. Like, and Stratton's been a great champion, and like we said, you still look good in losing as well. But no, I'm with you. I thought the build was for Jade. I mean, we saw the Queen of Wing win. We saw her, vanquish Naomi in that rivalry before Naomi would become world champion. And yeah, no, it's just kind of shocking. I mean, huge congrats to Stratton. She's on the roll, but yeah, no, I'm with you. I most definitely thought Jade, it was going to be her night last night.
It'll be interesting to see where both women go from here. Up next, we had a show stealer. This match was a lot better than I thought would be with celebrity involvement. But you had Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre against Randy Orton and Jelly Roll. This match had so much I didn't see coming. Jelly Roll taking the heat for a while. Jelly Roll being put through a table, taking multiple claymores. And then maybe the most surprising part was Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre picked up the win over Orton and the celebrity. Like, usually the celebrity gets to come out on top, but this Jelly Roll got the daylights beat out of him and ended up taking the pin from Logan Paul. What did you think of this one?
No, this match was just low-key a huge show stealer. It was a great match, like we said. The work Jelly Roll was put in. It was You know what I mean? The way he did it was not what celebrity would do. Like you said, every spot he took, Logan and Drew, just a very dominant duo, very dominant tag team. Randy and Jelly Roll tried. They gave it their best. Drew, and it was just that night. Once they kind of got the advantage, you know, it got to the point where Randy and Jelly Roll were trying to come back on defense, and it just ended up being too much. And like you said, Jelly Roll took the pin. Logan and Drew, you know, got the victory. I don't think it's over yet, but also, like we were talking about, if Drew and Logan stay as a team, SmackDown Tag Division better watch out. That's a dangerous tandem right there.
The fact of just how good they were together, but not only that, they were like kind of like psychos. They were putting the beating on these two men, and one of these men was celebrity.
Yeah, exactly. And that one was Randy Orton.
Yep, exactly. At one point, Randy Orton was, for about 5-10 minutes, getting beat down, not getting really any offense on Drew and Logan. I don't know, really good match, but kind of surprising.
Yeah, it was. But it was most definitely a show-stealing match.
Okay, so this pains me to talk about this next spot. We finally got the moment. We finally got CM Punk to beat Gunther. Amazing match. Finally champion. That lasted for 5 minutes and 10 seconds. Seth Rollins was faking an injury. He cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase when CM Punk most definitely least expected it. And unfortunately, in my opinion, Seth Rollins walked out the world champion. Now I'll let you go. I know you're stoked about this.
Well, first off, before we get to the match, this was a main event caliber match. This was hard hitting. This was down and dirty. Punk and Gunther completely just great way match. You know, a regular match to close off the show. We saw Gunther bleed a lot towards the end. We saw Gunther for a good part there dominate a little bit. I think Gunther got a little too cocky. Punk never, though, was resilient, never stopped coming at Gunther, took for power bombs, got down for sleeper, took advantage of the blood in Gunther's eyes, left him with 2 GTSs to finally secure it. Like I said, great main event. And then the heist of the century 2. Wow. Completely different than the first time. It just happened, but the whole injury thing, and I admit, like you heard people talking back and forth, but I honestly, like when we talk around here, honestly thought Rollins was hurt. Happy he's not. Happy it was a story. Very, very smart done story. I mean, a lot of people bought it. There was little, rumors, but no one for sure. The dirt sheets even weren't sure. So, I mean, done great. Rollins, as that character, that persona he's not afraid to sink to any low that possibly is to get what he wants. By the time Punk realized that it was too late, he was too beat, too tired.
Because that was a grueling match between Gunther and CM Punk.
Yeah, and then just that briefcase, multiple shots with a briefcase before he would eventually become world champion. And now the wane of the visionary is upon us.
He is, and be interesting to see. We talked about this a little bit ago. Like, is LA Knight next in line? This man had all the momentum. He beat Seth Rollins in the match where we thought Seth got injured. Is LA Knight possibly coming for that belt? I think he's going to want it.
I think so too, and I hope so too, because huge LA Knight fan, and was disappointed we haven't really seen him since we did see LA Knight in the build up to SummerSlam, but yeah, Rollins, lose or not, or this all part of his master plan, you still lost the match to this man. He still picked up the victory over the now world champion, which makes him the last man to pin the now world champion. But world title or not, Roman wants Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
He got these guys. He wants him. So it'll be very interesting to see what's next. Is Punk... I mean, come on. We know eventually Punk's going to be at him, but right now we've learned Gunther will be off for a little bit with injury. We wish him the best, a speedy recovery. But how beat up is CM Punk after this? Will we see CM Punk right away, or CM Punk needs some time off? We don't know. But Rollins is at the top of the world with a lot of enemies.
He really is. You have our match of the week in MVP. What do you have for us?
Man, it's tough. It was an action-packed week. And with that said, on Raw, We are going to have to go for 8-woman tag match. We're going to have to go Jay and Bronson. On NXT, we're going to have to go Javon, Wesley, Santino, Ethan Page.
Okay.
On SmackDown, be remiss, most definitely have to go with Julia, Zelina. We'll have to go with Aleister and Priest before the shenanigans. Just great match. And then brings us SummerSlam. Like we said, it was so stacked, so huge. We have to go with Roman and Jay against Breakker and Reed. We have to go with the women's tag title match, Bliss and Charlotte against Roxanne and Raquel. We have to go with Logan and Drew against Jelly Roll and Randy. We have to go with CM Punk versus Gunther. Just, huge night. Great matches. Very tough, but I think I will have to pick Punk and Gunther as the match of the week. Just, like I said, it's just down and dirty, just very old school world title match in my opinion. No weapons, no stips. Straight up singles match, straight up just brutal, but resilience of Punk. Hard hitting. Punk finally, not long, but he finally got the championship after over 12 years. And now comes the MVP. Great segue. Some rumblings here and there. No one really saw it coming. Everyone's going to be talking about it. I have to give Seth Rollins the MVP of the week.
How you could answer. To be honest, it swerved everyone. Even reports coming out before the show say, like, wrestling news sources and newsletters publishing saying there will be no surprising cash in on either night, and it happened on night one.
Yeah, exactly. He sold the part to the N2, came out limping, went up there, acted like he was leaving, turned around. Nope. And that's Seth Rollins, but yeah, like I said, everyone's going to be talking about him.
For our fallback match of the week, I'm going to keep you at the SummerSlam. We talked about SummerSlam a lot. I'm going to call this a hidden gem, a really good fallback match. We were really excited about it with the build-up because it was Triple H's return. SummerSlam 2007, Triple H Booker T.
That was, like I said, we were kids when that was going on, and we were so excited. You hadn't seen Triple H since January. This is August for vignettes. King Booker at the time, such a bad guy, such a heel. You wanted someone to come put him in his place. That was a great, fun match.
Really was. We want to thank you guys for joining us, and join us for next week where we have Night 2, SummerSlam, and so much more.
Yes, exactly what next week has ahead of us.